Live from Washington, D.C. Hello, everyone. I'm Dana Perino, along with Kimberly Guilfoyle, Juan Williams, Jesse Waters, and Greg Gutfeld. 5 o'clock in our nation's capital, and this is The Five.
Serious music.
It's 4 hours away from now. The big annual show on Capitol Hill, the State of the Union address, live at 9 p.m. Eastern. The bells are ringing. It's amazing. Gutfeld singing. It will be President Trump's first, though he did address a joint session of Congress last February, soon after his inauguration. We're expecting to get excerpts soon. We'll bring those to you when they come in. The White House says the tone of the speech will be bright and optimistic. The president will seek bipartisanship on a number of issues: jobs and the economy, infrastructure, immigration, trade, and national security. It's been a contentious year between Republicans and Democrats. Will there be more compromise ahead? More unity and less divisiveness? Let's go to the one who is so optimistic, bright, and sunny. Greg, what do you think? Oh, my gosh.
Two observations. I think he's going to do a great job because the expectations are set so low by the media. They are so upset with him and they expect so little from him that all he will have to do is just be nice.
I think expectations are high for him this time.
Oh, I don't think so at all. I think that people are looking forward to him being evil and wrong, and he'll be nice. But my other thing is I want to take a page out of Andy Ferguson from the Weekly Standard and Kevin Williamson from National Review. It would be much better if he got up there and he said, you know what? You don't need this. I tweet every day. You don't need the State of the Union. All you got to do is follow me on Twitter. I tell you everything that's on my mind. This is the first and last State of the Union I'm ever going to do. Take your family out to dinner on those bonuses. I'm going home. That would be the most awesome State of the Union of all time.
He might get a standing ovation.
He would. But that's the problem with this stuff. It's so fake. The reason why the State of the Union sucks is that it's so fake. People standing up, people sitting down.
Booing, cheering.
It's so choreographed, manufactured. It makes me sad inside, like a lot of things.
Well, one thing that is clear from my look at this five shot is I am like one of the shortest people ever on the planet.
You're just realizing that right now?
They gave me a choice between a pillow or a heated seat, and I went with the heated seat.
Yeah, I'm going to steal that heated seat in the moment. I'm a little cold.
You're in the hot seat.
All right, what do you think? Are you excited for tonight, like Greg is?
I am excited. I don't want him to tweet it because I want to watch Ruth Bader Ginsburg fall asleep during the middle.
She's not going to be there.
She's not going to be there?
No.
Oh, darn it. Okay, well, someone's going to fall asleep and someone will embarrass themselves. At one point, the camera will go to a very old senator, and that senator will be dozing off. And those are the best moments. Also interesting to see who people bring. It turns out the Democrats are bringing illegal aliens. A lot of people are saying they should bring ICE agents to just round them up right there. Other people are bringing transgender military members, and I'm hearing the Congressional Black Caucus might do a black power fist and walk out. So, all of these may be noble causes, but I really don't think the Democrats are connecting with mainstream Americans. The president's going to be on teleprompter, and a lot of people that support President Trump love teleprompter Trump. We used to make fun of Barack Obama when he was on the teleprompter, but we love President Trump when he's on the teleprompter because he sticks to script. It's going to be a lot of recounting all the winning, which could take a very long time, Juan, especially with all the applause. And then he's going to be
like
looking
7
forward
hours.
to the next year and try to bring unity and find some items like infrastructure, immigration, and trade that the Democrats might be able to get on board with.
Buying that, Juan?
Oh, I'm just overwhelmed by the winning. It's just been so much winning. So when I look at the numbers, I think,
sick of it, aren't you?
Oh, my God.
Trump said you'd be sick of it.
You want to know? Because it's just so overwhelming. I am thrilled, Jesse.
You look thrilled.
I am thrilled. Because I understand as his guest, he'll have like Stormy Daniels, maybe. Or how about Steve Wynn? Cheap shot.
Maybe he should bring Lewinsky.
It was a $130,000 shot, I think. So I think what you got here,
ask Hillary
Dana,
how much it all costs.
Dana is a guy who is going to try to stay on prompter to pick up on what Jesse was talking about. And I think from what we hear, Gary Cohn, who did so well for the president in Davos, is really in charge of this speech along with Stephen Miller. Now, Stephen Miller is kind of the fire and brimstone guy, and I think they're going to try to bring a little bit of that. You look at the guest list, and you're going to have people there whose children were killed by MS-13. I think they're going to go back hard on the immigration side of it, and that's going to come from Miller. But I think from Cohn, you'll hear a lot of talk about the benefits of economics and the tax cut, and the hope that while he talks about America first, he's not saying this is, I'm just repeating the lines that he said at Davos, this is not America alone. And so in that sense, it really does speak to something I hope he does, which is reach out to the American people and say that there is a possibility. But my fear is that's not Donald Trump. So I'm just, I can dream about it. That's just not.
Even a year ago in February when he did the joint session speech, Kimberly, it was a teleprompter speech. And remember, that was where many commentators from both the left and the right said, now that's a presidential speech.
Absolutely. I think President Trump is going to exceed expectations tonight. He has a lot of material to work with in terms of the accomplishments with the economy, infrastructure, tax reform, immigration, all of the above. So I think there's a lot of checkpoints that he can make in terms of saying, hey, this is what I promised the American people, the working class, men and women across this country that felt forgotten. I'm honoring my promises that I made during the campaign, fulfilling them during my presidency. And the whole theme of a safe and strong America is one that resonates. There can't be anybody who's against a safe and strong, prosperous country. And that's what he's going to hit tonight.
One of the things that an economy, a good economy allows you to do, Greg, is to have some space to think about other things that you want to work on. So if jobs are back and the American people feel like the economy is better and they have confidence, then you can deal with other things. So he's expected to talk tonight about infrastructure and opiate addiction in addition to immigration.
I don't want him to talk about anything. I have to reiterate this, that I don't want to hear what he can make government do more of. He should just do a little punch list. Here's the jobs numbers. Here's the economy. Here's how many ISIS fighters we killed. Okay, that's what happened this year. I'm going to try and do some other things this year. Another little punch list, like 3 little things, and then just be done with it. This is for the rest of America, not for the left of America. He shouldn't care about impressing people that want more government. He should just do it. You know what he is? The reason why he's so different and the reason why everybody has problems with him is that he's running a country like it's a business. He's like a boss, and he can't shake it. So he should just treat it like a meeting with a boss. Like he comes in there and goes, okay, so we did this, we did this, we did this. That's all right. We got to do this. And if we don't do this, you're in trouble. I'm firing this guy. That's how he talks. He should just do that, because the way it used to go before, let's face it, didn't matter who was doing the State of the Union. It was pompous and choreographed, and we pretended to be interested. Let's just let it go.
But you're definitely going to watch?
Yes, well, I have to. But you know what it is? It's like the great thing about Trump is look at the Correspondents' Dinner. Those things, all these traditional things implode under his watch. Why can't this one?
You know what?
Well, I don't think this is going to be the last State of the Union address as much as you'd like it to be. But the president does receive better numbers when he does these big historic events. You get the pomp and circumstance, the majesty of it all. Trump does very well. The Democrats, on the other hand, have, I think, 6 different responses to the State of the Union. So they're totally fractured. And who knows what they're going to say. Bernie's doing his thing. I believe Kamala Harris is doing her thing. Who knows what the Democratic Party stands for anymore. So I think Trump will receive a big bump after tonight.
There was a headline today, Juan, that said the Democrats, especially in red states, are starting to panic because of all the good economic news.
I don't think that's rational, because one of the interesting things about Trump's poor poll numbers is that if you ask the American people about the economy, they say if the economy is good, economic confidence, consumer confidence up. But they don't necessarily connect that to Donald Trump. They give lots of credit. In fact, they give more credit to Barack Obama.
Not true.
And obviously, most presidents, while they're in office, they take credit for anything because they also get blamed for everything. But here's a situation where the American people say, clearly, the recovery was ongoing, Trump comes in. I think, by the way, in response to Greg's terrible attitude about our wonderful State of the Union address, you're going to have some reality TV, and you have got Mr. Reality TV delivering the speech.
No, this will be
wait. So I think you're going to have people who don't show up. I think lots of members of the Hispanic caucus, the Black caucus, just say, hey, why should I show up and listen to a guy who lies?
Oh, you're going to get arrested.
Yeah, that could be.
They're coming for you.
Yeah, because we called Trump out on the lies. You can't do that.
I forgot to tell you.
I do think, Kimberly, that one of the reasons that Greg and others feel that way about the State of the Union is because it was never supposed to be that way. The State of the Union is supposed to be just a letter, really, or just a notification that everything's fine. Don't worry about stuff. But it has grown so much, but the visualization of who you bring, it's almost become more important than the actual words of the speech. And tonight, both sides are going to have very compelling and interesting members of the American public there.
Yeah, it's also a visual presentation in terms of a who's who you can get for your side to sort of be symbolic in terms of your party, your movement, the type of things that you want to accomplish, and also maybe some of the points that you want to make that you need to improve upon. You say, okay, I have the support from this community or that community. But I do think that President Trump, besides having a visual presentation of who shows up for him, is also really going to be strong in terms of the rhetoric and mirroring some of the themes that he laid out in Davos as well, because he does have quite a bit to work with. And for President Trump, I don't think he's going to, miss the opportunity to capture the moment for the American people, because there's a lot more that he wants to accomplish. And this is the way and the vehicle by which that he can really garner that support moving forward for some of the legislative policies and things that he'd like to accomplish.
Jesse, last word?
And for all the Democrats that say this guy is the worst president of all time, they're going to be jumping over themselves to try to shake his hand as he walks down the aisle to get a nice photo opportunity so they could send them back to the constituents.
Did you miss the idea that people aren't showing up to protest, that women are dressing in black?
So Trump's not going to shake any Democratic hands? You want to make a bet one?
No, I'm saying because some people, but I'm saying the news is, it's like, they say it's not news about the jets that land at national airports. It's news about the jets that crash.
It's not real news, Juan. No one cares who's not showing up.
It's not only not showing up, it's their protest in the street.
But we have a whole 50 minutes left to talk about this. Coming up, celebrities and activists gather for an anti-Trump People's State of the Union. Greg breaks down why the left's resistance event flopped when the Five returns from Washington.
Last night was the People's State of the Union. It's the left-wing tofu to tonight's State of the Union. You want a taste? Have a bucket nearby.
This man named Zinke, who claims to be Teddy, got rid of climate science programs already. He actually rides his horse to work like a
What?
That's Fisher Stevens. I thought he was dead, but he's still alive and apparently a celebrity. Afterwards, news outlets focused on one thing only: star power. Not the principles, star power. Because without that, the event was just a rehash of anti-West, hard-left diatribes. American-caused genocide? Check. Evil white male privilege? Check. Real winners there. But what caught the press was not the radicalism, but that it was star-studded. True, there was Mark Ruffalo and Kathy Najimy. If that's star-studded, so is any rest stop on Sunset Boulevard. I should know. What the press ignored, the same divisive politics that spooks most Americans. Blaming others for your problems is so last decade, and yet they can't stop. But what's also weird, this event was last night before the actual speech, which tells you everything. They only want to hear themselves. But the curse of refusing to hear those you disagree with, you remove the one step that unites people, which is conversation, which leads only then to conflict without it. But maybe that's what they want. The People's State of the Union may not be about people at all, but division and emotional actors whose celebrity provides cover for their unpopular radical beliefs. And they need the cover because no one wants leftism. It hurts too many lives. Look at history. So last night may have felt like a great movie for the media, but it's one movie that America will happily skip. You know, Jesse, what drove me nuts about this, and I say driving me nuts loosely because I really don't care.
As you're nuts already.
I'm nuts already. Everything was about how star-studded it was.
Yes.
They totally left out the fact that what they were talking about was so purely anti-American drivel that you've heard for 40, 50 years. But that just, a gossip column is for people. They can't handle that.
Here's how I knew it wasn't star-studded. When Juan yesterday asked who was going to be at the event, and we said Mark Ruffalo. And he said, who's that? And then he said, well, what movie is he be in? And we all started Googling Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah.
These guys aren't A-listers. And they tried to, all they care about is who they are, not what they say. Because if you put them in a panel up here like this, they can't debate the issues.
That's true.
There's no substance to the argument. It's all anger. And something Mark Ruffalo said that really kind of bothered me, he accused President Trump of being lazy.
Yeah.
Ruffalo wakes up and does 10 a.m. yoga on a beach in Malibu and then gets his fingernails waxed. This guy is not a hard worker. Being an actor in Hollywood is the easiest job in the world. Don't tell someone else you don't have a good workout.
What
Yeah,
what is fingernail waxing?
oh, you got to try it. It's amazing.
I have no idea, but
It's
he does
amazing.
I think he means fingernail buffing, but he also lives in New York. But okay.
Yeah, you know, Juan,
Details.
Michael Moore used the phrase cleanse when he was talking about white males. Like, we need to cleanse white male privilege. Do you think that's going to go over well with middle America? Yeah, let's cleanse America of white male privilege, which basically says, like, get rid of white males.
No, it's not. It's about privilege. But by the way, I mean, if you talk about low wattage celebrities, I mean, you know, this essentially is a left-wing version of the Tea Party back in 2010.
Tea Party was actually Americans.
Oh, these people aren't Americans.
No, you know what I'm saying.
No, but I'm saying
everyday Americans. Everyday Americans. What's the wait? Tell me this celebrity quotient of the Tea Party.
That's what I said. They didn't have any celebrities. That's what Jesse said.
You're comparing apples and oranges,
These are
Juan.
B or C list celebrities.
Nice try.
You guys
nice
had
try.
no celebrities.
The Tea Party was an actual, organic, real movement by
and
Americans.
This is not real.
No.
Let me tell you, this is so real. They had town hall in the middle of Manhattan, packed last night.
Middle of Manhattan.
And not only that,
how did celebrities work out for Hillary?
They
put her over the top.
Let me just say, they had hundreds of thousands of people watching, streaming, including Greg Gutfeld.
I watched
oh,
it.
my God.
I don't know how they got 500,000. 'Cause I watched it. I only saw 5,000.
Greg, it was also sort of your assignment because you had to do a monologue on it. So just on Greg's behalf, he sort of had to watch it.
Let me drop the bomb for you guys. De Blasio was there. Go ahead, guys. Blow up, glow up. I know you don't like De Blasio.
Neither does the Democratic Party.
But it's not at all surprising that de Blasio was
Kimberly,
there.
do you care that de Blasio was there? I like to call Lurch.
I mean, if Big Bird was there, that just means it's definitely not an event you wanted to be at. What can I tell you? I mean, look, I don't care if they have B or C list. I'd rather have the real people like you had in the Tea Party movement than like celebrities without scripts. Not a good idea. Trying to come forward to proffer some enthusiasm and sense of honor and integrity to try to criticize what's happening in this country. I don't think it worked. It didn't do anything for me. It didn't move me. Didn't move my dial.
They used to have Clooney and Diddy, and now they have de Blasio. I think that says it all.
Well, you know, I mean, I will say this, Dana. I watched it, and I saw, like, Ruffalo really believes it. And he has the energy. I could see him possibly running because he's not really a big star.
He's very into the environment.
And he was bragging about, not bragging, but talking about the whole pipeline protest. How'd that end up?
But, getting approved.
Yes. Thank you, Mark.
So the Democrats are in a real pickle. Because
watch your mouth.
They have this division, and it's hard. How do you figure it out? If you're Chuck Schumer and you're trying to figure it out, their goal in 2018 is to try to take back the Senate and the House, but the Senate in particular. And he's got red state Democrats that are having to run for re-election in 10 states where President Trump won some of those states by double digits.
Right.
And yet he has a base that is pulling them so far to the left, and they are energized. Young people are energized by this type of Hollywood thing.
And they don't read history. But they don't know about communism and socialism and how many millions have died by these.
You want to challenge them to a debate?
Yes.
The celebrities versus the five?
Yes. Family Feud. Although we have Mark Ruffalo, Fisher Stevens and his crazy beard. Who else was there? Kathy Najimy. I think that was great.
Only if he brings the harmonica.
Yes.
That's the only way I do it.
You forgot my favorite, Cynthia Nixon. And she made a great point, which is that a year ago when Trump gave his speech, guess what? Russia was hanging over Trump's head.
Mm-hmm.
And tonight, as he gives the speech, Russia is still hanging over Trump's head.
That's interesting that none of those liberals in the 70s or 60s, Russia wasn't never hanging over their heads. They were fellow travelers.
Oh,
with the Russians, with the communists.
Yeah, well, Russia didn't help them get elected.
Yeah.
Well, they said Cynthia Nixon
Bernie Sanders just went on his honeymoon to Moscow. That's
But didn't Cynthia Nixon say she might run for herself?
I don't know. She better not run until she does the Sex and the City sequel, because that's more important.
Sex in the sequel?
Sex in the sequel. That's very strange.
That's very weird.
Very different. Very different.
Just be yourself,
That's an
Greg,
unusual
honestly.
place.
It's
All
all
right.
I want.
President Trump's speech tonight comes as lawmakers on the Hill are divided over secret Russia memo. Who wrote this? That's next.
Did get colder.
The House Intelligence Committee has voted to release a classified memo that Republicans say the American people need to see. It allegedly reveals government surveillance abuses in the Russia investigation. President Trump has 5 days to decide whether he has any objections to the document before it can be made public. The committee's top Democrat slams the decision.
A very sad day, I think, in the history of this committee. Sadly, we can fully expect that the President of the United States will not put the national interest over his own personal interest. But it is a sad day indeed when that is also true of our own committee, because today this committee voted to put the President's personal interest, perhaps their own political interest, above the national interest.
Longer fun.
Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer takes it a step farther, accusing the GOP of ganging up on the FBI. Meanwhile, House Speaker Paul Ryan backs the memo's release.
There may have been malfeasance at the FBI by certain individuals. So it is our job in conducting transparent oversight of the executive branch to get to the bottom of that. Sunshine is the best disinfectant. And so what we want is all of this information to come out so that transparency can reign supreme and accountability can occur.
Okay, so transparency one. If there are abuses in the DOJ and the FBI, what's wrong with finding out what they are?
I have no problem with finding out what they are, but this is written by Devin Nunes, head of House Intel, who has been a total stooge, lackey for President Trump.
But it's based on facts.
It's based on cherry-picked facts, Jesse.
No,
so in other words,
based on actual raw intelligence.
No, it's not. Because if
How
it
do you
was
know?
raw intelligence, then it would be classified, and you couldn't see it,
You
buddy.
can extrapolate it from
get
the
out of
raw.
here.
That's
Listen,
why Congress
Let me just tell you something. This is a setup, and you talk about transparency, and I'm all for government transparency, but this is not. This is about muddying the waters, degrading the FBI, going after justice. I think this is a lead-up to potentially Trump going after Rod Rosenstein.
If there are dirty cops, you want to know it on the street, and you want to know it in the federal government, I think. What do you think about this? You just don't like the word memo. You're sick of it.
Yeah, I've never seen an earth-shattering memo in my life. I'm very suspect, and this is because I love our viewers. Do not let yourself get let down by all the liberals over, like they have over Russian collusion. Every day they think they're going to have the boom TikTok happening, and it never happens. You know, when I see the phrase like earth-shattering or jaw-dropping, it reminds me of those late-night Cinemax movies that promise so much, and then you watch 2 hours, and you're like, why did I watch this? Nothing happened, and nobody's even that good-looking.
TMI, Gutfeld. What do you say, Dana, about this? Do you really think this could be KGB-style surveillance? Or are you just going to wait until you see the memo?
I'm going to wait. Well, I don't just want to see the memo, actually. I would like to see the underlying evidence, like the raw intelligence. Because
Will we ever see that?
I don't know. Here's the thing. I do think that the Congress has an oversight responsibility, and they are trying to execute it. I do think they've made an error. They think that they are able to say, well, this memo has nothing to do with the Bob Mueller investigation. Okay, that's what the speaker said today on the floor. That's what they're trying to say, that there's a separation. And yet, I don't see how they've actually effectively made that case, because pretty much everybody who's watching this is like, it's Carter Page, it's connected to the FISA warrant, that he worked on the Trump campaign, and therefore Bob Mueller. So I don't think that's been successful. And there's another thing. When we talk about the FISA Act, one of the things that is most important about it is how you have foreign terrorists talking to Americans, and that's how you end up being able to get a wiretap on that person to find out how can you prevent an attack. I don't know what Greg's doing.
I'm zipping.
What apparently the abuses in here are not part of that title in the law. It's something different in Title I, and I don't think they've done a good job explaining that either. And so to me, it's gotten way too partisan, and I think completely ineffective.
It's very partisan because now the Democrats want to release their own memo, and the White House is worried about the Democrats leaking the memo
That's so ridiculous.
at the wrong time.
You talk about hypocrisy. Wow.
Yeah, you do talk a lot about that.
Because that's Republican.
Kimberly.
Oh, we're going to put our
you for
memo
a
out.
second.
Don't put your memo out.
Okay. The memo's memo, okay?
Secret show.
You don't even know what's in it.
Remember the show that never aired because of all that stuff that happened on the show?
Talking about?
Do you remember the secret show?
What the heck
We should
are you
release the
talking
secret
about?
show.
That's right.
Hashtag release the secret show. Release the secret
Kimberly,
show.
We're going to do
Wait,
it on Friday.
the one that Susan edited?
On Friday.
Yeah.
We'll vote Everybody has to vote. Dude, does the 5 release the secret show?
No.
right.
We send it, how about we send it to a FISA judge?
Yep.
That's right. Go to the website and cast your
get
vote.
it going.
Kimberly, the president wants to release it. He
Wow.
just doesn't know when it should be released.
Right. Okay. Well, because in the interest of transparency and trying to have full disclosure, that's what he would like to do. This is one of the things that he campaigned on. Of course, we would like to know what's in this because we want to be able to sort it out. There's a lot of now perhaps hyperbole depending on what's in it, what's not, and there is a lot of partisan politics.
Right.
So when you see something like this, it's interesting because mostly it's just like the Democrat stuff that leaks out. Not the Republicans.
Yeah.
Why is that?
200 Republicans have seen the memo, and it is not
Well,
leaked yet. It must mean the Democrats are
And
the leakers.
also, I think that the media, who if they got their hands on the memo, they would run it. It's not like they're like wanting to protect classified.
On Waters World, we would try to protect national
Jesse?
security, so we would definitely hold that back.
Jesse,
Yes.
we have to. What I've seen on the Missing 5 show was jaw-dropping, and people are going to lose their jobs. I'm not joking.
No,
Does it
bigger
ride
than-
a
lost show.
No, it was bigger than the American Revolution.
Oh, my gosh. All right, well, stay tuned. Coming
You're
up,
going to believe this.
CNN and a Holocaust controversy. We'll explain that next.
After stepping down from his post, outgoing FBI Director Andrew McCabe has garnered support from the likes of Eric Holder, the former Attorney General, and James Comey, the former FBI Director. But one person's defense of McCabe, well, may have gone a bit too far. CNN analyst Ana Navarro tweeted the rewording of a Holocaust poem to warn of McCabe's removal. The phrase, quote, "First he came for Comey," end quote, for example, was reworked from an anti-Nazi pastor whose poem criticized Germans for not speaking against Adolf Hitler. Navarro is taking heat for her controversial comparison. Let's take it around. Kimberly, what did you make of this?
I just don't understand sometimes where she's coming from with some of this. I think she just wants to be controversial for the sake of being controversial. I don't really understand sort of what is she getting at. I mean, she says a Trump apologist. She's trying to criticize everything all the time. I mean, I don't know. I'm not someone who actually understands her positioning because I think it's just inconsistent.
But she's a Republican, right?
Well, this is the point, Juan. Exactly.
Well, I'm just saying it's a Republican, so I don't know. Jesse,
like a sleeper
we've
cell.
heard comparisons.
Not a Republican.
We've heard comparisons to Stalin, and it's not explicit in this one, but by the way, the Stalin came from another Republican, Jeff Flake, and now you have suggestions, innuendo, that really, if you don't stand up, you're like people who didn't stand up to Hitler.
Well, that's an insult to people who were victims in the Holocaust. But Juan, Ana Navarro is a Republican like you're a Republican.
Me?
Yeah, exactly.
he's
No,
more
you don't have to worry
You're
in that
not.
case.
Okay, so that's a ruse to make CNN look fair and balanced. They book 6 Democrats and they put Ana Navarro on, and they think that's squared away. The other thing is here, if Hillary were elected president, she would have fired James Comey. You don't think for a minute Hillary wouldn't have canned Comey the second she took office?
Oh, my God.
She hated Comey. She hated him. So there's no difference in either of these things. She's ridiculous, and so is CNN.
Dana?
I think that there must be something there, or else you wouldn't have somebody like Paul Ryan say that it's important for this memo to get out. So I think it's better for everybody to just wait, let the process work, and see what is actually in the document.
Well, I think we're all waiting for the document, but when you think about the president as having removed Comey, as having removed McCabe, Sessions under pressure from the president.
Well, but
The president didn't remove McCabe.
Christopher Wray removed McCabe. So
Right, but the idea was that Christopher Wray was under pressure from the president.
He saw the
No
memo
evidence
on
to support
Sunday
that.
night and then made that decision Monday
love
morning.
this.
So there must be something there.
Maybe. All right. So, Greg, what do you make of it?
I love this. I love this. You know, for so long, the left has questioned all government agencies in terms of national security. Like, I mean, let's not forget, whether it was Snowden or whether it was Assange or the NSA abuses, we were sacrificing freedom for security. That's all they were talking about. God forbid, Republicans are questioning the FBI now, and all of a sudden, that's like a sacrilege.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, to Navarro, I'm going to let Navarro slide on this because maybe she wasn't even aware of what she was doing.
I think that's too much
I don't know.
to
No, but
ask.
I'm just going to. A lot of times people make mistakes, but the bigger question is, You can question the validity of an election, which was the American people, but you can't question an agency that does their stuff behind closed doors.
Yeah.
That's strange.
Come on, you're a smart guy. Come on.
Thank you. Let's end it there.
We'll
be right back.
You think this is all about questioning this is about protecting Donald Trump.
No, when the Fed spied on radical Muslims, the left got really upset, but are okay with the Fed spying on the Trump campaign?
What spying?
What do you mean?
As
You can't have it both ways.
Dana just explained to you, got to go through a FISA judge. If the information given to the
FISA judge used the fake dossier paid for by Hillary to justify the spying, that's problematic.
If there was evidence that a Trump official was involved in collusion, you say, oh, don't pay any attention?
If I see collusion, I'll say collusion.
I have a question
I've seen
for you.
is with the Democrats.
Oh, yeah.
Media.
That's in your dream.
I have a question for you.
What?
Do I look like the boy from the Christmas Story?
Huggable. Very huggable at the moment. I like that jacket.
Yeah.
How many layers do you have on?
17.
Calm down.
I'm like an onion. Peel me back.
All right, young people, calm down. Lots of Democrats won't be at tonight's speech. They're boycotting. Maxine Waters, Congresswoman from California, plans to give her own national address later.
Crazy.
The protest drama heating up in cold D.C. Next.
Crazy.